January 14th, 1692. Reverend Samuel Parris walks into his humble Salem village meeting house. His 9-year-old daughter, Abigail, greets him. He's heard strange things about her and her friends, Betty, Ann Putnam, and Elizabeth Hubbard. They've been acting strangely for some time, but recently they'd taken it too far. In fact, he knows exactly why they're here today. They're acting out. Ever since they'd been caught dancing naked in the forest and drinking blood wine, they'd become troublemakers. He calls them his little foxes, knowing that these sly girls are up to no good. They may think they're fooling everyone, but he'll make sure they get punished. But what happens next shocks him. Instead of admitting their misbehavior, the girls throw themselves on the floor, writhing and screaming. This isn't an act. These poor children are having fits, and they claim they're possessed by the devil. They say evil spirits have entered them and are causing their pain. The minister tries to bless them and drive out the spirits, but nothing works. And, as the weeks pass, more and more girls begin falling victim to these mysterious afflictions. It doesn't take long for Salem Village to erupt in panic. Fear spreads like wildfire as adults start suffering from the same symptoms. Convulsions, screaming, and fits become commonplace, and the entire community is soon infected with terror. People fear that witches are everywhere, hiding in plain sight. Soon enough, accusations begin flying, and the first target is Tituba, a slave who lives with Reverend Parris. She readily confesses to being a witch after she's tortured by the minister, but to save herself she claims that Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne, 2 local homeless women, also practice witchcraft. Soon, more and more accusers come forward, and before long, dozens of people are accused of conspiring with the devil. As hysteria takes hold, entire families are torn apart. Neighbors turn on each other. And, with no way to escape the accusations, many try to flee Salem. But the village has become a prison, and the roads are lined with guards who ensure nobody leaves. Those accused are forbidden from leaving, and many stay loyal to Salem, refusing to believe that they could be guilty. The ministers are convinced that a witch hunt is necessary to purge the village of evil. They want to find the witches and bring them to justice. But with no proof, they turn to spectral evidence, which allows people to testify about dreams and visions. They claim that they saw the accused in the forest or saw the devil mark them during ceremonies. But this kind of evidence is impossible to disprove, and soon those accused have no chance at defending themselves. Spectral evidence is accepted in court. By February, 60 people have been accused of witchcraft, and the local jail is overflowing. A special court is set up to deal with the growing number of cases. But as the trials begin, it becomes clear that justice isn't the main concern. The judges aren't interested in proving guilt or innocence. They just want confessions. If someone won't admit their guilt, then they must be lying. And if they deny the charges, then they're clearly covering up their crimes. The courts demand confessions, but they also demand proof. So those accused are tortured until they break. And as confessions come pouring in, the panic only grows stronger. As the accusations grow, so does the violence. On June, Bridget Bishop, who confessed to being a witch, is the first person to be hanged. As she's led to the gallows, she proclaims her innocence, claiming that she's being framed. She becomes the first victim of the hysteria, and her execution only fuels the fire. One by one, people are brought to trial, convicted, and sentenced to death. Over the next few months, 18 more people will follow Bishop to the gallows. By September, more than 200 people have been accused of witchcraft, and the trials are nearing their end. But as the executions come closer to their conclusion, a new group emerges, the skeptics. They doubt that witchcraft is behind the afflictions and are suspicious of the motives of the accusers. Reverend John Hale, who initially supports the trials, begins questioning the methods used by the accusers and the reliability of their testimony. As public opinion turns against the trials, the governor steps in and creates a new court to review the remaining cases. But it's too late. The damage is done and the trials end with a whimper rather than a bang. Many of the accused are released, but their reputations are ruined. Those who were hanged are dead, and their families torn apart. And as the years go by, people begin to realize the terrible cost of the trials. As time passes, doubts grow over the validity of the trials. Did witchcraft really plague Salem Village? Or were there other explanations for the bizarre behavior of the girls? Were the trials really about Satanism? Or did they have more to do with the personal and political conflicts in Salem? And what role did fear play in driving the community to such extreme measures? The Salem witch trials serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers of fear and paranoia. Fear can cause people to act irrationally and make terrible decisions. It can lead to mass hysteria and the persecution of innocent people. It can also be used by those in power to control and manipulate others. The Salem witch trials were fueled by fear of the devil and the belief that witches were among them. This fear caused the community to turn on itself and accuse innocent people of being witches. It also allowed those in power to control and manipulate the community by exploiting their fears. The Salem witch trials serve as a reminder that we should be aware of the dangers of fear and paranoia, and that we should not allow ourselves to be controlled by those who seek to exploit our fears. We should also remember that fear can cause people to act irrationally, and that we should not let our fears get the better of us. We should be critical thinkers and not just accept everything we hear or see. And finally, we should be compassionate and understanding towards others and not judge them for their beliefs or actions. But this story doesn't have to end here. I want you to take a moment and consider what might have happened after the trials ended. How did the people of Salem recover from the devastation that the trials had caused? How did they rebuild their community and move on from the tragedy? Or perhaps you want to explore the lives of those accused of witchcraft. What happened to them after they were released? How did they cope with the trauma of their experience and the loss of their reputation? Maybe you're interested in the role that fear played in the Salem witch trials. How did the fear of witchcraft and the devil take hold of the community? And how did it lead to the persecution of innocent people? These are just a few ideas to get you started. There are many different ways that you could continue this story. You could write a novel, a play, a poem, or even a song. You could use your imagination to create a new ending for the Salem witch trials, or you could research the real-life events that inspired them and write a historical fiction piece. No matter what you choose to do, I encourage you to be creative and have fun with it. Let your imagination run wild and see where it takes you. Who knows, you might just create the next great work of literature.